That horrible moment in the school while you were on the phone. Can you paint that picture for me?
Absolutely. I had been called to the office for a phone call, and I work in an elementary school. So there were lots of people, lots of children coming through, and I was told, honey, it's breast cancer. I felt like I'd been hit with a baseball bat. Mm-hmm. No one ever expects to hear those words, especially with all that commotion going on around you. So I just turned and I ran to my assistant principal's office, and I shut the door, and she just sat there and held me, and I cried and she cried, and I thought, what do I do now? How do I go home? How do I tell a 9 and a 10-year-old, mommy has cancer? How do you do that? It was scary.
As much as you will share, how did you do that?
Well, I waited till they got home from school. My husband's parents had come over and sat with us. And when they came in, I sat them down and I said, mommy found a lump, and they had known that. And I said, I went to the doctor, and the doctor had confirmed that it needed to come out. But before it came out, I would have to take some medicine, and that medicine's going to make my hair fall out. And I never really used the word cancer. And it wasn't until later that night that one of the boys overheard some conversation and went, wait, mom has cancer? It's cancer. I heard her say cancer. And at that moment, I just fell apart, and they fell apart, and it was just a very sombering moment for my entire family.
I imagine hearing it from a doctor, whomever called you that
Mm-hmm.
at the school, relaying it to your husband, you saying it, him saying it, but to hear it out of the mouth of a child.
Mm-hmm. It was awful. They just didn't really understand. Everything they knew about cancer was scary. And they didn't understand that, you know what, some good can actually come of this. We can make a difference, and we can be positive about this. And, I look at life, it's what we make it. And I could either turn this into something horrible, or I could turn this into something positive. And I'm not saying it was easy in the beginning. The first 3 weeks, it was awful. I mean, I sat curled up in a fetal position and I cried. And my husband can tell you that. My nurse navigator, Sharon, can tell you that. And it really took an outing with my family before I realized I need to step up and I need to take action here. I need to take control instead of letting cancer control me. And it, like I said, it took about 3 weeks, but I was out with my sons for ice cream, and we laughed and we had a good time. And my younger son, Brandon, said, Mommy, it was almost like you didn't have cancer anymore tonight. And that was the kick in the pants I needed to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to own this thing. It's not going to own me, so.
And where are we now? How are you feeling?
I feel fabulous. Since then, I will not be sitting on the sidelines anymore in life or anything else. The first year for the Race for the Cure, I sat on the sidelines, not a stitch of hair on my head, and I just cried watching 12,000 people walk in honor of myself and every other person who's ever heard those words. And every year since then, I have walked the race. The last year I ran the race. This year I plan to run the race. I've completed 2 half marathons since, my diagnosis, and life is for the living, and I'm going to live every moment. I'm a positive person, and I think that's the key to beating this thing. You just have to be positive, and you have to attack it with everything you got. The work that Komen does is just amazing. First of all, to be there on Saturday, if you can, just gives you so much hope. And that word hope is used a lot, but you know what? That's exactly what it is. It lets you know you're not on this journey alone. This is a journey, and you see all those people just cheering you on. It is so inspiring and overwhelming to know the heart of people. But to know that Komen does so much for our community and the local survivors right here, the majority of the money stays here and helps us right here in the Triad. And, that allows people to get mammograms when they need it. Just, there's so much that they do to help us and provide that hope and that love and that support and compassion that we so desperately need.
You're not only a breast cancer survivor, you are a hockey mom.
Yes, I am. Boy, that's a great sport. When I was diagnosed, my son's hockey team, first of all, they collected money and they paid for my wig, which if you don't know anything about wigs,
expensive.
They are very expensive. But these boys all wore hot pink laces in their skates. They all wore pink ribbons on their helmets. And one of our boys even used a pink stick. And we were playing a team, and somebody said, dude, what are you doing with a pink stick? And he looked at him, he said, you know what? I know why I have a pink stick, and that's all that matters. And these boys learned more about life that year. It wasn't just about playing a sport. It was how to be kind and how to lift up another person. And everywhere we go now, sometimes we'll see a team that's got wearing pink laces or something, and they know exactly why they're doing it. And they just learned so much that year, more than just a sport.
That's great. That's so cool.